responsible for replacing them?
They're talking about our donations that they did. They have up to another donation.
But there's other events that put tables against the
Oh,
wall, like
yeah.
the flexibility.
Yeah.
Being able to set it up in multiple configurations.
This one.
Hello?
Hi, how are you? Who's this?
This is Ken Fitzpatrick. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Ken.
All right. Orange County, California is what your area code is.
Well, we used to live in Southern California.
Yeah, I did too. But not in
Ah.
Orange County.
Ah.
I lived in LA County. I worked in Orange County. I worked in Irvine.
Ah.
What?
Mine,
Yours is? Yeah.
mine's.
Mine's a San Fernando Valley, Burbank.
You just have Ken on?
You just kind
My area code's a California area code, my husband's is Minnesota, and the kids is Florida.
I'm New York, my wife's Virginia, and my kids are in Florida. Both my parents who have a house over here in Kissimmee, they both in California. But they do 646.
We're recording. And we're ready to go. It's moving on. Let's see.
And Neil said he was gonna join. Okay, so we're ready?
I think so. I'm ready to go. You're just waiting on a nail. Really.
We can run through things now.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah. All right, so let's call to order and we're good adopting agenda? Okay, so Jim, why don't you start us off?
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't here last week, right? Or last month. So Jim apologized and he was busy, but want to hear from Jim about his goals for our team. And I think we started off really good so far and dived into a lot of things. So, and then we'll give Ken a chance to introduce himself since he
Yeah,
wasn't.
I'm glad Ken's here because he makes a quorum.
Yes.
We had a couple times when we didn't have a quorum, so it was very disappointing. Yeah, I've talked to a few of you individually, but basically, I want us to do what we're doing. I recruited some of you for specific purposes and other purposes. I want to make sure that we focus on things that are helpful. Obviously, I know as technologists, sometimes we see the shiny bauble, but I don't think like we want to do generative AI this year, for instance, for celebration, although we do it in the form of a chatbot, it might be okay. But generally speaking, that type of thing. The reason I'll remind everyone why this technology committee was formed was because we were behind everyone else in technology. And so we want to continue to do this. We don't just want to be equal to other communities. We want to be ahead of other communities. That's the way we started. That's where we want to get back to. Obviously, one of the things that needs to be focused on because of the implications for the board and for the budget is the whole Service GoGov, which is on the agenda, right?
Right.
So we'll talk about that more tonight. I think I've seen what you guys are doing. I think it's great. Kind of things that I started when I was on the committee, and more Power BI, more data driven stuff. I'd like to get more data in general on our amenity usage. Talk to you about that.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Otherwise, we can't make a decision. I know no one wants to say the P word, so I won't say it, but you know, if the tennis courts are used extensively, then that's not a good idea. If they're not used as much, then you could potentially put something there. But we don't know that. All we have is anecdotal evidence from people to say, I played a lot, or I have to wait, or they're always empty, right? So we don't have data for that. So we talked a little bit about that and how we might be able to go about that.
So I love that you're bringing it up. I actually met this morning with the chairperson of the rec committee. And her and I spoke, and you guys, when you had the meeting the other day, talking about the field usage and stuff. So
Yes.
I talked to her and she said she wasn't even asked about who's on those fields. So again, it's not to blame anybody, but it's a
Right.
lot of data, a lot of information, but the information's there and it's just for us to get. And that's where I think maybe our group kind of gets that information. I work with those committees. So Lauren and the team has that information and people aren't
Yes.
speculating or creating narratives that aren't true.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that we had talked about as well in the past is working with other committees. There wasn't quite enough involvement from all the members at that time to do that, but you guys have very good involvement already, and I'm very excited about that. And those are the kind of things that we need to do, or reach out and make sure that we support the technology needs of the other committees that will help support the board to be able to make better decisions. So, but other than that, I want you guys to be the eyes and ears of technology and listen for what's going on in the community. Have a good relationship with Jose, which you do, and I'm excited about that. And I will help when things would come up through the board. I will talk through that with you. We'll talk about things to be aware of, things to think about, things that other board members might be looking at. The way that Brian Kenzel did for me when I was on the committee. And so that's what I want to do with everyone. I think most of you have my number. If you don't, please get it before you leave tonight, and you can call me anytime to talk about anything, any questions that you have.
Yeah, and that goes for everybody. I mean, I meet with Jim, Jose and I meet, Tom and I go out and get coffee, him and I meet with Anil and Corbin, Chris, I've been on emails, and Brett, so if you guys and Ken, anything you guys need from any of the teams or anything, that's one good thing I think about our group is that we're all communicating, and then we all come together for our monthly meeting, really to bring it all together. So
Yeah, well, I tried to do that with weekly meetings. Didn't work quite as well. I guess you're much better PETA than I am. Yeah. You are.
It's being recorded, Jim.
I did, that's why I said PETA. So there wouldn't be, you had to translate it.
Well, I'm gonna be-
No, but no, I appreciate the amount of effort you're putting into this and spinning off everything and the amount of time that you meet with everyone, and that's important. And, regardless of, as I mentioned to you before, regardless of what's happening or not happening at the board level, I want the technology committee to push forward with things that are important to the community.
Well, we appreciate your support. Okay, Jose, besides what we have outlined down below, if anything else you wanted to.
So before we start, meeting minutes, are they gonna be approved? The last meeting? We have the document. Did you get the meeting minutes?
No, I don't know if I got them or not. I looked for them today and I couldn't find them anywhere.
To the committee.
Where are
Alright, so
they?
I'll send them to you.
But where are they going to be so that we know?
Well, it was emailed to the group, to the email group, the distribution. So I could put them in the
So
Teams.
but it
in the
came
Teams
to my
group.
town
Yes,
hall
that is
account.
correct.
Okay, well, we have to check that, because I looked in my town hall, I didn't find it there. But I thought I had seen it, that's why I went there looking.
I got it on my private one, not my town hall.
It wasn't
So-
today, it was on June 21st.
Yeah,
It was sent.
I sent it along.
okay.
Do we need an official secretary of the group to take the minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, I take the minutes, all I do is submit it to you guys for changes and then approval. So that way I could upload it to the website.
But we officially, yeah, we have a secretary and a treasurer. You guys elected a secretary?
No.
I think you should do that at some point, maybe today, I don't know. Maybe you want to give them a month to think about it, but yeah, that's the relationship that Patrick had with our secretary, of which I was at one time. He took the notes, he sent them to me, I reviewed it, made sure it was good, and then as secretary of the group, I presented it to the committee, and the committee approved it. So,
Okay, so I'll do it one more month and then I'll send an email and then we'll decide.
Yeah.
There's members that want to do that.
Where will they, what will be the repository for the minutes though?
We'll put it in the Teams folder. I know Janine has some meeting minutes there from the previous group.
Well, I looked at, there's multiple places where there's meeting minutes
Yeah.
in the team site. So we should, there's actually a channel called minutes and agendas.
Right.
And it would seem like that'd be a good place to put it.
Yes, and I have to take those actually and upload them to the site as well, so.
okay,
All right, so outside of what we have here on the list, we could go through this list. Nothing new happened. Outside of that, it was just the incident that occurred, but I will go over it as we go through the list.
Well, I thought we did a good job Wednesday at the board meeting. Jim gave me the opportunity to go up and speak, and I think we represented the team well. I think Cindy was pretty pleased with the progress that we made.
well, hopefully the homeowners were.
Yeah.
Pleased.
Well, usually we get feedback questioning things and we didn't get any. of that.
Exactly,
When
yeah.
you give information, right, you don't get a lot of.
It's very important. I'm gonna try to do that every month unless someone pushes back on me, because, one of the challenges that we had is we did go to the board whenever we were asked to go to the board. And then we implemented things that the board asked us to and the board approved. And then once they were implemented, everyone said, where did this come from? Why did you do that? How come you didn't talk to us? How come you didn't tell us? So it's, to your point, you can tell them over and over again, but I want to make sure that the people who listen and who are involved in the board meeting know what's going on.
Perfect. All right, so let's start with the initiatives and projects, and we'll start with the first one.
So I know there was a split between what we can do versus what Freshie Sites is willing to do for their price point. In the board meeting, we was told to get it half paid up front and to give them a time frame. I did just that. They have no issues with it. The issue becomes, do we proceed with it? I know there's a difference of opinions. I say, you know what, I don't want to spend too much time on doing it. I'd rather have them do it, and then when we get it, we do the minimal stuff and just get it up. If the issue is that, we want to be hands-on with it, then by all means, we could be hands-on with it, but then we have to commit the hours to upload it. And there's a couple of us that are savvy, but I don't think everybody's savvy enough. And then the issue becomes that then we gotta review and check and make sure, so.
I'm
It's,
confused, because the board already approved to spend the money and made that decision. So what are we reevaluating that
No,
decision?
we made it based upon
deliverables.
him making those two changes. But if you made the two changes, it is approved.
Yeah.
So then.
It is approved.
Okay.
You should go forward with it.
Okay, so then we'll go forward with it, and I guess Krista, once we get it and we get all those files, there's just whatever we had, whatever you had listed on that sheet for us to just get done.
Yeah, and I would like Krista to be involved in the process, and if you have stand-up calls or anything like that, if she's available, I'd like her to be involved.
Okay.
If she wants to. As soon as she does.
So I sent over new notes today where I took out all the things that have been done already. The only major issue I see right now is users being redirected to the WP admin when they log in, which that happened last year too, and everybody freaked out about it. So that needs to be resolved before we go live. It also shows the black bar across the top for a WP admin once you're logged in, so that also confuses people. But I do also just want to go on the record and say that I did not recommend that we spend the $12,000 to do content migration. While $185 an hour is reasonable for web development, the work being asked for the approved expenditure is content. And it's the same content our town hall staff already created. So it's basically copy and paste. This is admin work and it doesn't require web development expertise. And it should have been done at a much lower rate.
Yeah, and that's why I connected Jose with Alina and you to talk about that. Unfortunately, the rest of the board.
I have
was
comments
not
on
in
that as
agreement.
well. So, I'm happy to do the website review work and it's fine. As a resident, I have a vested interest in improving our community. That's why I'm on the committee here. But I don't need the credit or call outs, especially if I'm not like doing the work. I'm not working on the website. And when my recommendations aren't considered and my expertise was dismissed, there was an offer for the residents to help with some of the content migration. And the board comments at the last meeting made it sound like it was just random residents and what if they screwed up? So I personally have over 20 years experience at Fortune 500 companies. I've worked on consumer facing sites with far greater usage, complexity, and security concerns than our town site. My bill rate's much higher and and I regularly volunteer my time and web development skills to nonprofits. So we have some really talented residents in the town and maybe they could ask me questions about experience before just dismissing them.
Yeah, I think there was some mix up a little bit with Lauren. Lauren said interns and I'm like, no, that wasn't the plan
Yeah,
to get
so it
interns. So,
basically came off as I wasn't as good as an intern.
yeah, well, I,
So I was really very aggravated after that meeting and was questioning whether I even want to do any more work with the website.
I understand that.
So
I don't think that was the intention. I think maybe it was just stated incorrectly. I don't think we would never try to discredit.
it wasn't, it was a board comment. And
Yeah.
yes, it did,
No,
it
so
was, I'm sure it was stated incorrectly. I'm sure it was stated, but that's something we need to watch because it's happening a lot in a lot of meetings where things are stated
incorrectly and
incorrectly
never
and
corrected.
it causes problems.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you.
I
think
just
you know.
wanted to point that out, that I was rather offended. And let's get this done so we can get it off our plate.
Yeah, I said this in board meetings, so this is nothing new. The changes that were made last year, which I did not vote for, in the committees, in my opinion, set it up so that the management liaison was more the chair of the committee than the committee. And that doesn't make sense. That's not why we created the committees. That's not how you guys function this year, thank goodness. But there is kind of that thought that the committees aren't as valuable as I see them. I see them very valuable. I think they maintain consistency. I hope Jose stays with us for decades and decades, but he is in IT. So we don't have that guarantee.
We deprecate the time.
So I want people who live here, engaged in the community, interested in giving their time, that they bill at very high rates all around the table here for free. And they should be respected as such. And I don't think that always happens. So I can't apologize for my fellow board members, but I apologize on behalf of one person from the board for you feeling that way and being treated that way. It's unacceptable.
So going forward, we'll go through with that, if Krista will still be engaged, and then if Krista has other ideas to go back, we'll take that and you'll,
Yeah, I don't think, I think we need to discuss, like, who does what with the website, what can be self-service. We've talked about this historically with Patrick, and he was very clear that he did not want anyone else having access. Well, we're the technology committee. So
I don't know that
We
we
should-
should have access, like, I don't know if we as a technology committee should have access. Now, there can
Not
be,
full access.
there can be some very particularly vetted volunteers that, but there is a level of risk, and I think that was
Yeah.
what the point of the
I think
comment.
that was the.
That was the point of the comment. It was
Mm-hmm.
just executed very poorly, but there is risk. And that needs to be understood. So just giving us access because we're the technology committee isn't the appropriate
Is there,
response
is
either.
there a, do we have an official change management process?
No, there's no official change.
You do not. When I said that, I agree with you that the whole technology committee shouldn't do it. We wanted access to upload the minutes and the recording ourselves, because Patrick was very busy and he wasn't getting to it in a reasonable amount of time. So that's what we wanted to have. I do think that Jose, is documenting things that wasn't done before. I think that's important. I think it's important that people on the technology committee know about that, know where it is, et cetera, et cetera. Due to the fact that you are one person. And like I said, I'm not gonna say the hit by bus thing because I hate that. I
You win the lottery.
had a CEO, yeah, win the
I
lottery,
like that.
good. I like that, yeah. If you win the lottery and decide to retire, then we need someone in the interim to be able to.
So with the website, I mean, immediate concern is we need to get it up, because what we have is kind of garbage. And we need to get it, because it got destroyed basically a year ago, and it's been a year, and it needs to be done. I think there's a lot of opportunities, and if that's something we want to take on in the future, but priority one is get what we have up there and get it going. Then we can maybe take on a conversation, because like even now, I was just looking for the community resolutions, since as you were talking at goals, I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
There's no good way to bring it up, because it's like, you've got June and then April and then May and then March and then June. So like I can't even find minutes. So I mean, there's a whole lot of opportunities on the website
Yeah.
that we're not gonna cover right now, and priority one should just be getting it up there so that.
Right,
people can
and
get
that's.
the information.
That's hence the $12,000, that needs to be done before the new
So I think we
work
can-
can be put in.
Table any additional conversations until we're actually live with something that's useful.
Okay,
Yeah, no, and I mean, because I really value your opinion, and just a quick example, like last year with the movie theater, I'd sit there and hear like 3 or 4 different people with so-called expertise have complete different opinions of the movie theater. Right, so I think the committee is also part of that. We do have, with your background, and with their background, legitimate opinions on things, and not just people coming in with agenda and bring their own opinion. You don't know which one's which.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I mean, I think going forward, that's really important, and we want to get people using the site and finding the information they need.
For sure.
All right, move on to the next one. Next one, with the EV charging, I was thrown for curveball at the end of Wednesday's end of the meeting. The fact that we weren't even engaged at all with that conversation. So basically, at the end of the meeting, 2 of the board members brought up that they want to remove one of the charging stations for 2 parking spots, which I don't mind moving and talking about, it, but where there was no facts given about usage, and we have, Tom and Corbin have done a lot of work over the past year with usage on it, and I went through and looked at that. They're throwing level 2 out, level 3 out, and I looked, there's some months where level 2 was the same as level 3, so there's some misinformation put out there. So I just think for our group, we need to have, because when that comes up again, maybe it's legitimate on the agenda, we should have information up there so the residents know exactly. And it's funny, somebody told me, it's funny that the board member was up there with a presentation saying what Disney had.
yeah,
And the person said to me, well, Disney's having meetings now showing a PowerPoint saying, look, celebrations were electrified than we are. We need more charging stations. So and again, it's all just about the information, not opinion, it's about information. And if it's eventually gonna come up $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to move something, that's gotta be factored in with that as well. So I just think the proper information is needed on that. And
Exactly.
It'll come to our team.
so this is something obviously that we did advocate for, and We worked on it and made it happen as a committee historically. And so one of the things that I need to know is how do we know for sure that we now own them?
We have it on the contract. And we received an email with the finalized terms that that's it, we own. it.
From whom?
From, what's the name, Nova Charge. And Duke Energy also sent, an email.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
Can you forward those to me when you get a chance? Appreciate that. Thanks. One of the things that was a requirement under the pilot study, which is how we acquired them with $0 out of our pocket, is that we could not charge any more than we were paying for the electricity. Once that's over, we don't have that requirement anymore. I don't know how much we're paying now. We obviously know how much we were paying when they put them in. It was about 16 cents.
13.5 cents a kilowatt hour plus.
Plus, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know where we're at now. We should start looking at that. Where are we at now? What are the, what are the going rate around? And it could become a money-making thing, and that might be different. The other thing that I said is I didn't agree to just rip them out. What I agreed to and what I was open to is negotiating with CCDD to put them someplace else downtown and free up some of those parking spaces.
And I think everybody's fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's the main concern, just acknowledging that the concern is the lack of accessible parking and parking close, like the premium spots for Lakeside
Yeah.
are EV charging ones. So just
Right.
like acknowledging that, because it is a concern and it's a very valid concern, but being open to relocating, and also we need to provide data, like
Yeah.
we need to give them accurate, they need to have accurate
We think that
information,
free
yeah.
chargers, We make money off it, but we're gonna remove that and pay tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have to have the information.
So
Yeah.
Corbin and I met, he does have the monthly reports. I created a temporary site. Here's the problem, it's going back to the website. I don't wanna put this embed on the technology.
Yeah, right.
on
no,
the-
because
it
you're
doesn't
gonna
make
get away
sense.
from
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
then
no.
you're gonna have to do.
The idea is, okay, we'll just play around with this site for now, so we can make sure the embed works, and once it works, then when we go to the new site, we just attach it. That's pretty much it.
No, that's good. I think you know, but the reason they are where they are is because we had no control over it since we weren't paying any money. And they wanted to install it at the place that had the lowest installation costs. And so that's why,
It was the transformer.
Well, there were many constraints.
Yeah.
That was one of them. Duke didn't want to be horizontally boring. Transformers right there.
Right.
Mhm.
The board asked us to move them as far close to the front. This is what happens when you get a new board.
Yeah,
And the reason they did that was they were gonna move the gate. If
yep,
you recall, they were planning on making that resident-only parking and putting a gate across where the poles are now.
Right.
They wanted to move the gate behind the chargers. So they said, put them as far towards the front as we can. We did not take up any handicap spots. I
right,
have a picture from 2018 that I sent you
Yep.
guys.
Mhm.
There was no handicap spot taken. And then the third constraint was we wanted to put solar power at Lakeside, solar panels at Lakeside. And we did a couple of different studies as to where those panels would go. One was on the roof, but in addition, there's a field between there and the tennis courts. And we wanted to be able to connect because of the way net metering works. The reimbursement rate is the same as the rate that you pay.
Mhm.
Okay. Lakeside is on a time of day demand schedule. And during the peak hours, believe it or not, the energy is only like 3.5 cents a kilowatt hour, which makes no sense, but that's the way it is. Therefore, it would have taken us 3 times longer to pay off the panels. We put the chargers there. We were going to connect the panels to the chargers, and we would pay off those panels 3 times as fast because we would have been getting the net metering rate of 13.5 cents a kilowatt hour for the energy that we put back in. Keep in mind, we don't pay for any of the energy that goes out. So this would all be if you want to call it profit, it would pay off the panels. So there were a whole lot of constraints over 13 meetings to discuss precisely where the chargers go. It was not capricious like,
And
Yeah.
it was,
Oh, I'm sure it was.
and it was always, fluid. So the first thing they were gonna give us is like two, four level twos. So the two things with two each. And we talked some more. We finally got one of the fast chargers. Very last minute, they offered us another one, which is basically another $50,000.
right,
So we wanted to take that. So we, kept pushing forward that we do have it in 3 locations, now. Which again, was one of the charters of this committee was to bring, EV charging to this community. So I think
Yeah,
that's,
so there's one, I throw out, there's one handicap spot, I think there's 4 other open spots, there were 3. And then the chargers start. There's 6 spots, right, and then the EV chargers start, and right across the EV chargers, there's 5 spots right by the basketball court. So there's literally within 30, 40 feet of the building, there's like 10 spots. So there are premium spots there, and then you literally walk another 40, 50 feet, then there's tons of spots.
Yeah.
But I understand people need assistance to get over there, but it's,
well, the other thing is that some people were, misrepresenting things and still are kind of conflating the issue with handicap spots and EV charging spots. Didn't have anything to do with each other. The board could have at any time said, we want to add, and, obviously we would have to see what that takes, but to add a, handicap spot there, which I totally agree with.
Yeah, sure.
Those are the people who cannot and probably should not be parking way down and walking down, right?
I'd also like to know how much usage that Jones room has, what programs are in there, because in Alto, that's the residents that are there who need that access parking there. Right, if nobody's ever using the Jones room and,
Yeah.
right, again, I don't know people creating narratives without the information.
I mean,
Yeah.
personally, I've never had a problem parking over there, and I park over there when I can't find a spot downtown, because I have a resident
Yeah.
sticker. So like, that's really where it is. I think it's honestly, it's all about the optics, and
Right.
people are seeing, when they walk in, they immediately see the EV chargers, and if they're not using them, then they're taking up the close spot.
right. Well, we have. the
So,
data.
yeah.
We have
So
the
we need to
data.
either provide
we-
them a
that we
summary
need to look
of like, here's why they're there.
But
here's all
even
the
that, I
reasons.
mean, can you imagine driving by a gas station and say they should close? Why should they close? There's no one getting gas right now. They should close. So,
Last month, I put together an up-to-date package that I don't think anyone looked at, maybe Jim looked
I
at.
love that.
They have all the data going all the way back to last year as to how many charging sessions there were, what chargers they parked at. All of the data was there. Everything we want to know, how much was level 2, how much was level 3. Then they went to this board meeting, somebody did. Did they pull that data out of that Excel file? Otherwise, why are we doing
Well, they
this?
gave them some data, but
There
what
was
they-
some data I got directly from the website, from the,
Okay, but Jose, that's raw data. We had the compiled data. There's pivot charts and everything in this.
no, so the reports were already set up inside of the website. All I did was put a date range. 'cause
on
when-
their
Yeah,
website,
on their website, and it pulls out that data.
their portal. It's more
Yeah,
of a
well, that's
portal.
why
Yeah, it's their portal, yeah.
That's where I get the data from. It's from the Charge Up website. But the data isn't compiled to digestible form where you can see how many level 2 sessions, how many level 3 or DC charging sessions without.
That wasn't what was requested.
I think they're missing the context, and what would best serve our
I
committee
understand.
is to provide something small. I mean, we can't give them multiple pages. We
Right,
just
it's
don't
all
have,
on
it's
one
gotta
sheet.
be like a one pager or a paragraph to get executive summary that says, here's what we're doing, here's why they're there,
Yeah,
here's what it's costing or how it's used. And this is our recommendation as a compromise or whatever. Like, we either think they need to be here because this is why they were here and that still holds true, or we could potentially move them here. Like, so I think we just it needs to be in a small because people can make data say whatever they want it to say.
Exactly, right.
So you give me a chart that says there's 40% usage, I'm gonna tell you, well, there's 60% not usage. So like, I mean.
I think also a lot of people are scared to go in because they don't have their residence sticker on their windshield, and it's something we want to get more usage out of it. We can ask for another sign or something there saying
We were,
non-residents can charge.
yeah, we were technically required.
Yeah.
For it to be open to the public.
Yeah,
But those
Right,
bike
it's
racks
scary.
are there constantly that say like they're always there. So
Yeah,
it's.
I know. So that's the other reason that I would be open to CCD taking them over if they pay to take them out and install them some other place. Because then it would be either on the street someplace or at Stetson. And
Yeah.
it would be a place where people could get to it regardless of whether they had a
right,
sticker.
because I just, in my own opinion, I don't think the residents be willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars to
Yeah.
move it.
What's the cost of relocating?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't discussed.
That was never
either. So
discussed, right.
how do we build that into, I mean, it just needs to be,
Yeah,
we can get into the nitty gritty and talk about it all day long, but when we're giving it to the board or the residents to consume, it needs to be.
so this is something the tech committee should own. You guys all know there's certain politics now on the board. And so this was part of that. And there were people said after the meeting, let's just throw something over the sign so people can park there now. I'm like, you can't do that. Why? Because it's the law that they can't. So until you move them, you can't do that. So
Okay, so let's
it's
move on.
education.
Well, we need the data and the information. I've been telling this in here for years, so. Okay, and I'll run with that. All right, so projects, and there were some good ones here we need to discuss. Welcome, Anil. So projects with CCDD and CROA, so we have Jose, we have Gallagher's
So-
demo coming up.
so- So Gallagher demo is scheduled for the 17th. You received the invite, right? Okay, good. That's for the key access system that integrates with the police.
Yes, yeah, and that's good because I saw something posted on Facebook yesterday. Can't find my card. Can I still get in? Can I show them my ID? You know, I'm sure that happens multiple times. So no, that,
Did I hear that correctly? It's called Gallagher?
Yes,
Gallagher.
it's like magic.
GoGov. So I've sat in on a couple of those meetings and so far, I mean, the product looks great. It's just as intuitive, but I haven't seen it do what we're looking for it to do,
Which is,
which is really to get the vendors attached to it and automate the steps for when I make a request, it goes directly to that vendor and
Yeah.
it bypasses every single individual week. For he would always use the raccoon, you know, you want to call animal service.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to submit it to me and then forward it to someone else. It should go directly to
Right.
that person and should have an immediate response. But that's not gonna do it. It doesn't do it. I haven't seen it done.
well, you
By the
need,
way, we provisioned them with
Yeah,
all the stuff.
you need to ask about that, because that was one of the requirements when we.
Yeah, well, I attended the training session and I didn't get that from that.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I didn't get what you just said. To me, it looked like it did.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I didn't follow that. What, my take on what they had there was that it was pretty flexible and we could have it do anything we wanted it to do. There was a lot of fields.
I didn't see that.
Okay, so we were at the same
From an
session.
automation standpoint,
From an
right?
automation standpoint.
Well, when's the
Well,
next
let's look
meeting
into
with them?
On
Yeah, when
on
is-
Friday, we have another call.
Okay, so let's make.
Maybe I
sure-
missed it, but I was.
Let's make sure we bring that up because that, so in my mind, if you say they're equivalent, I would, as a technology person personally, I would go with a newer platform. And as a board member, I would go with something that's cost less. And I would also feel very strongly about there being one app. So GoGov doesn't have to be better necessarily,
No, I was just
but it can't be
focusing on
any
that.
worse.
I was just
We
focusing
can't, we
on
can't be taking things away from our side. They evaluated it for what they wanted to do and found it to be adequate. We need to do the same process on our side, see if it is. And
So we have like the top 5 things we needed to do.
I think at the crux of it, it does just about everything else Seller Service does. I was just paying attention to that automation piece. I didn't see that.
And my understanding is it does, I mean, I've had a lot of,
Yeah.
I go to the bus stop with Greg, so we discuss these.
Yeah,
So-
So when I saw it,
He said that we-
I saw a lot of the admin, I
Yeah.
saw a lot of the admin functionality. I didn't see anything that says, we're gonna automate this process for you, so whenever you click here, it's gonna do this.
Okay, let's just be very clear about what it is that we're asking it to do. My understanding from what I saw there was that the basic things that we know, tree falls, things that fall into your category, it does it. It's gonna go to CCDD, it's gonna come to CROA. Those items that don't belong in those two categories, that is, that goes to animal control, for example, we're gonna ask them Friday, very specifically,
Exactly.
what happens if we have, carcass in the street? How are we gonna get that report to animal control? Let's ask that, that's the
Yeah.
question, right? Without us touching the machine.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's what I was
That's the
asking.
question we'll ask.
Yeah.
because right now, let me, right now, is it automatically routed to CCTD?
Yeah, so if a person selects CCTD, there's an email associated with that request, and it sends it directly to that.
Well, we know that's the problem. That's the challenge.
That's
Is
the
they don't
challenge.
know it's CCDD. If they put in something that's a pond, does it go to them automatically? You have to sort through them, right?
That's what it is.
So that's what I was looking for in a new platform, something where we can, and that goes with the automation. So let's also ask that question
Now,
as well.
from the training, Jim, I was at the training
Yep.
class. Yes. Yeah, if you're on a path and a tree falls on the path and you see they're at a path, you report it, bam, it's going right to CCDD. There was a field, you say, this report's going where?
Oh, okay. Yep.
And,
So, but
and let's reinforce
Yeah.
that Friday.
Yeah.
Be very clear. I didn't speak in this meeting. I just listened.
I just looked at it.
But we can speak if we want to. And to be very clear about when a report is generated, where does it go? You don't want all reports coming to you and then you basically relay it. You want it to go, my understanding was it will go directly to CCTV.
Yeah, well, basically, how do you automate routing,
And that's what I want to make.
right?
But here's the question, though, that-
I
that to me
didn't
is-
see that part. I see that you can add the vendor, right? So that in this case, or the service provider,
Yeah,
you
well,
can
here's-
add them, but it's not necessarily.
Here's the
part of it.
other challenge that I had, from a technology perspective, from their implementation of it. They said they would implement it all in 5 weeks. Now, I'm like, I'm not gonna implement it all in 5 weeks.
But Jim, to me again, and Jose talked about it, and Neil actually talked about this. When you look at what residents want in their app that they're gonna use most often, I think that is something, but I think that's not that often for most residents. I mean, card access, your ID's in there. I'm at the parks when it's up to me. All right, you're a resident. Here's my card. My 13-year-old has his card in there, gets me into the pools. I can see a calendar events. I can know if there's fireworks last night. I want to play tennis. I can see if there's tennis partner programs on that day when I have family coming because I want to play tennis over there. I want to use the North Village Pavilion on Saturday. I can see in there, oh, there's a camp that has it all day, so I can't. I think that's what the residents
Well,
want.
that's what the residents want.
Is
but-
GoGov gonna do those things?
But we need, we need to ask about that.
Okay.
And, or if we use something like Owner for that, since we're gonna use it for a couple of those things. And you can have external links in GoGov.
Yes.
So, from my perspective, it is, does it meet the needs to get those things done, right? Because the majority of what people, in my opinion, use cell service for, although I don't personally use it for this, is they report stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when they report stuff, they want that fixed
I understand.
in a timely manner. So that's why we're talking about automating the routing.
And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to put that down as not an important function. I agree, but I think there's so many other things too an app can do. I mean, for example, I get a letter that my hedges are overgrown. I have to send an email down and come back, thank you that you're working on it, blah, blah, blah. But if that was in the app and I can see it in the app and I can click and say, here, I can upload a picture in the app of my hedges because I mean, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
And I'm asking, is that gonna be, back to the owner app, or are we looking to put it into GoGov? And I know we don't want 2 apps, but
well, okay, we don't want 2 apps that do the same thing with different organizations.
agree. I think, I agree.
We have always had multiple apps. right?
The idea is to consolidate and get to one app that can do everything. across
Not
the
necessarily one app,
board.
but
Or an app that can.
couple apps,
that can
maybe.
Integrate into it.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
main purpose of GoGov is service requests. If I'm
That's
going
okay.
for a service request, then I go to GoGov and submit the service request. If I'm going for all my resident, because there's a lot more people that submit, or there's other people who could submit service requests. You got CCDD, they're not necessarily all residents, like there's just different people. And if you're going to submit a service request, I mean, that's really the only thing I use self-service for, because all the other functionality in it
It's
has
on the
not really
website.
worked for me.
And it's on the
So,
website. I think,
well, the website is,
Yeah.
that's not really working either. So, I mean, I tried to get my kid a card and I had to come in because the form wasn't even online. It was a dead link,
yeah, so,
so.
so we have a lot of territory to cover
But
with
we need to
that.
follow the use case.
So, but what I'm asking about GoGov itself, that's gonna be on service, and we're not gonna bundle in everything of the other stuff that we're talking about, that I'm talking about.
I think the priority should be just addressing this main process, make sure that it's gonna do what it says it does.
The service request.
But we have constraints with service requests because we have other multiple entities. If it was just us processing all the service requests, then we could do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
But we have so many other entities that have to process the service requests and do them, that I think you have to use whatever is gonna work for everybody, not just our micro.
So just, see, I wasn't clear till now, so when we say we don't want the two apps, it really means we don't want two apps to do the same thing.
Correct.
So in other words, it's gonna be the seller service or GoGov at the end.
It's sort of like she was talking
Yeah.
about when three things merge together, they go away,
Right.
people go crazy.
Mhm.
Same sort of thing, right? You want, if something is wrong with a sprinkler in this place, where do I go, right? Or if the light's out, where do I go?
I just wanna take a picture of it and set my location and say it's broke and have
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
else deal with it.
Well,
As a resident, that's my use case.
Yeah, they don't take pictures of the broken TVs.
Forward that. I didn't get that Friday meeting for the follow
I
up.
think it was just sent to myself and Lauren.
yeah,
Okay.
So I'll forward it to you.
forward to me as well. I have a late Friday, so.
Okay.
Okay, try, I think we're on the same page.
All right.
Oh, I forgot to tell you at the beginning of the meeting, when I'm part of a meeting, it usually goes long.
I know that.
Okay, go ahead. Carry on.
Yes, it'll be quicker.
So digital signage, we're getting electrical work done at North Village, so we'll make sure once that's done, we'll just put it on and make sure that it works. We have the Spectral digital signage device already, so
And all of the funds are approved for that. correct?
yes, that was
Okay.
approved.
Yeah.
And then Wi-Fi, we installed and set up Wi-Fi at North Village and at East Village. So the next ones are gonna be Heritage Hall, Spring Lake, and then we're gonna go to Island Village.
Did you run any stats from last night and all day yesterday? We
I
got-
haven't run them. I was, I
Interesting,
literally,
there's a lot of people here.
I literally left out of there at 11:30 last night. So I didn't get a chance to look at it, but.
It'd be interesting, I like to see those, if
But we
a
can
lot
get
of
them.
people are on the Wi-Fi or not. or
Yeah.
people-
And those are all approved. Money for all of that is
Yeah, the
approved,
other
right?
location is.
You have part of that in your budget.
Yes.
I'd love if we can do something for our team to help get out of celebration after it's over.
So then for the video conferencing, I gotta just confirm with Anil for this Saturday to meet, just to review the 851. So if Anil, I'm good for Saturday at the time you requested. Sorry I didn't get back to you sooner, but I was caught up with the July 4th stuff, so.
No worries. So you want to meet at 8:51 at about
Yes, sir.
9:30? Okay,
Yep,
I'll
that
be
works for me. Just to review the video conferencing system and look at it.
Yeah,
Should we be waiting on that? Because we don't know what's going on with the building.
So right now we have a bigger problem. Right now, the one TV fell over another one and broke that TV.
Okay.
And then it just so happens
That
that,
just happened.
Yeah, that's what you said. We were talking about.
so
earlier.
what I have to do now, I gotta rush and get another TV, remount it, right? But then the concern becomes is that they move these TVs over and over and then things end up missing. I ended up losing one of the BNC adapters. It was gone. I had to purchase a new one and place it. And then the cable disappeared. I had to purchase another one.
I would guess, my main point is let's stick with minimum viable because we don't know what's going on with this building. It may be entirely raised, it may be getting a huge, it's getting something. We don't know what that something is, but
Agreed.
we don't want to put a whole bunch of new stuff in a like, it's beyond the bare necessities,
well, you-
because we don't, I mean, if we have to do stuff to this building, we should really like, technology is a cornerstone. Technology has changed a lot for meetings from 1996 when the town was started to 2023. Like meetings look a lot different. We have people on the screen, we have people in the rooms, like that wasn't even thought of in 96. So let's really, let's build that state of the
Yeah.
art.
And I think what we want to do more than anything else is plan for a larger room,
Mhm.
right? That's something we really couldn't do.
Well, I don't think we can plan for anything till we know what's going on with 851.
Well, I'm,
so-
no, I'm just talking in general,
Mhm.
there needs to be facilities that have the board meetings, that have the meetings that are in 104, 103, 102, or just 104, so we should look at that. That's kind of been the challenge. Also, too, the reason that we did Teams Room is so that hopefully it would be self-service for committees, but that hasn't happened. So the ease of use in your reevaluation is not quite as important, since it is going to have to be babysat by someone. So different time, different facts, different evaluation. But obviously, the board won't go through with anything until decisions made on 851.
But the residents' feedbacks, we've heard resounding that they want a better experience
For sure.
remotely.
Yeah.
And most of the feedback was around, honestly, it had nothing, they kept saying it was Zoom versus Teams, but it had
Yeah,
nothing to do,
it's
we all know that it's.
They just want to see who's talking.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things that,
It's the equipment, it's not the software.
one of the things that we talked about before we put that in is we talked about like the level of professionalism that you want.
Yeah.
Is it going to just be what it is, with equipment, or do you want to have it move specifically to people, have lower thirds, things like that? Like, where do we want it to be? And I don't think we ever got the guidance when I was on the committee from the board, so.
Well, and let's be
That's
honest,
important.
the needs for the needs for conferencing within town have changed drastically in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So like, just,
Yep.
we should recognize that we're trying to catch up for something that none of us could have even thought that was going to happen. So like, we're all in that boat.
Yeah.
And now that we have the opportunity, the building's gonna need something.
Yeah.
Let's tap into that, because a lot easier to run wires and
Yep.
things
Yes.
when the walls are down.
All right. The dog park, so Jose was even looking just at some solutions out there, right, for,
Yes, I do have a vendor that's gonna, they're not a vendor, they're a subject matter expert in an open source platform for vaccinations. All right, I'm ready for them to confirm their schedule, so I can schedule with Tom. Oh, it's Breck, right? Sorry, with Breck. So look at the application, and then at that point, we'll look at it and see how we can integrate.
So,
Can I ask a question? I just wanted to
Yeah.
answer it. So when we set up our IDs, because I had to come in, I had to show my dog's vaccinations, and then they added me to dog park access. And when I was the IT manager for a plant, we had our access to, and I managed all the access, and I could say that you have access for these rights until a certain day. So is it not within our system that I can say, like, my dog's vaccinations expire March 22nd of 2023, you set my dog park expiration to that date?
no, that's the problem they're trying to fix.
Okay,
Maybe
so it's just, I
Gallagher-
have access and it's just whatever
So-
access I have?
so-
don't use that as an excuse to not continue to give vaccinations.
No, but I mean, like, it's in our card, it's in our card system.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
there's no,
So-
you can't set specific roles or anything like that.
So looking at the platforms that we're gonna look at, maybe Gallagher can facilitate that. Gallagher, that's the key access system. Gallagher can facilitate that. And then
Because if they
that's
can, then
what-
that eliminates your need for doing something
Exactly.
extra. with
I'm just
dog
being proactive and just trying to look at something.
Mm.
We don't know if they can do it. or not.
Yeah, the system for the cards is fairly dated.
park. Okay. I mean,
Yeah,
most of
and the
them are.
board themselves put this on
Like it's-
our agenda, right, Jim? In the beginning,
Yes.
when the mission was
Yeah, there's a
set.
charter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the.
But solving it, like,
if the card access system
It's in the new.
has roles and lets you do that, that solves the
Right.
problem too. They didn't say how it had to be solved. So I just hesitate for you to have another system to maintain and another thing for
Because I
town
asked Tom
people.
originally if he would just like stand there and ask us who babies on the dog collar.
Well, that was a good try.
But yeah, if the access would just
yeah,
like, then you have to come in, you don't get access anymore, and you have to bring in new vaccinations, they extend your date.
Yeah, so those goals were also put together without a functioning technology committee. I don't know how much you were brought into that. I was not brought into it at all. I wasn't the liaison then, but I would have hoped that I would give input.
Yeah.
So realize that we just want, you don't think of that as a scope, just look at
Oh, I
what they
wasn't-
want to accomplish,
No,
right?
and my
'Cause it was
question
very
is specifically
specific.
around the dog park thing
Yeah.
of, this is a technology that is possible, does our system do it?
Yeah,
If it doesn't, then, does the new system, so it
Yeah.
had nothing to do with, I don't even wanna start on the committee charter. We've had those conversations
have.
and we don't need to rehash them. It was more of a question specifically around the dog park, cause I know I've worked with, ours was AMAG, so I've worked with the security card access systems and being able to like, people couldn't have access to the supplies at certain times or the machinery, so like we were able to do those within our system, and that was, I swear it looked like it was built in 1992, but it had that capability, so there was.
this was
that
a
was my
less
question.
expensive one. It was built in 1992.
It was not a DOS problem.
All right, good. I'm real quick with the owner app again. I think these are just two that I put in there. I would love everybody's feedback if they feel there's other things that the owner app can do for our residents. And again, I said, I am willing to do training on, once we get that, if that's what we're gonna go with, set up trainings, bring people in, how to show them how to download the app, how to use it. I think that'll make a huge difference if we get the functionality and some of the things that we get asked for all the time. Again, I think two of them, they were just like little ideas and stuff.
So with the owner app, I have a meeting with Joey Mizrahi tomorrow to do the import for the tech committee's account so that they can view it as both residents and as power users, so you get a glimpse at the admin side. Once that's done and we resolve it, I'll send you guys an email. You'll probably receive an email from ONR to download and install the app. And then you'll have on the same email, you'll get a link to the actual web portal, so you can use either or.
And
I was able
you
to.
have one for me?
Yes, you have.
Thank you.
So far, uploading documents have been easy, so you can literally sort them out, open them from the web, or from the app. You can actually do service requests as well. It automatically does the geolocation. I'm just trying to see what level of detail does it cover, so I don't know that yet.
Yeah, I know that you've had this for a while and tried to evangelize its functionality, but unfortunately, for the service request part, I don't think we should throw in another one currently, but it would be nice to know what it can do.
That's
So
what
in the
I'm
future,
saying,
if we
just
need to make
functionality.
any.
Yeah, just a quick example, I stood by the owner entrance last night and watched people come up, didn't have their cards, can I show my license, how do I get in, family, so I mean, something like that, if all residents, so just download the app, sign in with your boom, so I think little things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah, well,
So
All
we're
right.
making progress on it.
Good, so if we got a couple minutes, Ken, just I want you to jump in, a little introduction about yourself, and you heard everything we talked about today, where do you see yourself, your talents, what way you want to contribute?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so thanks. So let me give you a brief background of who I am. So I grew up in high tech, had a number of various leadership roles at IBM. I did 2 tours of duty at IBM and in marketing, development, and services. I ran a large development organization where we put together public key infrastructure tools, a lot of high-end security for rack-app mainframe stuff. I crossed over to the dark side and was recruited by Computer Associates, and I ran their worldwide marketing. And one of the areas of expertise I've always had was security, and helped them unlock and unleash some of the value that they've had hidden. As you probably know, CA is mostly all infrastructure technology. I worked with several startup companies, the West Coast, Texas, and in Connecticut. And eventually I ended up working for Gil Sweat at Checkpoint Software. They're based, it's an Israeli security software company. I'm sure you guys are aware of it. I ran their worldwide market. And a colleague of mine from IBM, he was running worldwide sales. So what I'd like to understand, and by the way, my apologies for not making the last meeting. One of our kids lives in Europe. We were over there for several weeks with the family. But I'd like to understand the workflow, policy, and controls that are in place, and how service requests are handled from the IT organization, for me to be in a better position of where I feel I could provide advice and counsel as a technology committee member and work on some of my expertise in helping contribute, in a significant way to address some of the problems. But I liked what a lot of people were talking about, common sense. Instead of spending a lot of money for a web developer, maybe it is as simple as, I think Krista was talking about, copy, cut and paste with content creation, if you already have the content. I'd also like to know, and I'll follow up with several of you offline, but for instance, the power stations, chargers, are they restricted in terms of usage? Is it available for both non-residents and residents? It wasn't clear to me initially,
Supposed to be.
but
Correct.
little things like that. Yeah. So it's difficult for me right now to say where can I add value until I understand in a little more specificity what the big picture is. And like I said, I want to understand the workflow. How are we prioritizing, or how is the IT guys prioritizing projects? How could we, as a technology committee, offer improved or maybe continued advice and counsel to make it easier for the IT, and also being very, very responsive to all the residents. And I've heard some of the issues that you've been touching upon today, and I know there's a handful of them. So that's about it. Any questions on me, I'm happy to answer.
Well, that was perfect, Ken. We appreciate that. And I think the most important thing, like you said, just touch base individually with us, Jose, and then we'll find the right place for a contribution. So thank you for that. That was great.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have to depart. Dinner's waiting for me.
We're at.
Carson Park.
Mm-hmm.
Whole fan is sitting there right now.
We had double meetings to mix it finance for Artisan Park, and I'm here, so we ate dinner early.
I kept you in check, Jim. All right.
You did.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
That's probably, that's, you get an award for that.
Let me know when you want.
Okay.
You want to
Nobody
insure-
else has anything? Breck, any quick?
Yeah, I will right now.
That's Friday.
Can you officially?
It's Friday.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Second?
Aye.
Now the vote.
I had 18.
Seriously.
We need a vote?
Seriously, you're supposed to do that, yeah.
You said 17, I have it for the 18th. What's the correct?
We all said yes.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Confirm me, Alec Gallagher.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.